That was also how a recent essay in the Washington Post began. Quote, I have spent my life perplexed about exactly how Hitler could have come to power in Germany. Watching Donald Trump's rise, I now understand. The piece, titled The Moment of Truth, We Must Stop Trump by Dr. Danielle Allen, goes so far as to plead with Democrats to re-register as Republicans and vote for Marco Rubio. Dr. Allen joins me now. She's a political theorist at Harvard and contributing columnist at The Post, and I should add, a Democrat and supporter of Secretary Hillary Clinton. Dr. Allen, normally I abhor Hitler references and Holocaust references because I think they diminish what really went on in that era. Defend your use of those terms in The Post.
Let's be clear. I was comparing the American people now to the German people in the 1930s. In both cases, this is a people characterized by incredible political division and economic insecurity. That's the critical point. We are vulnerable to being taken advantage of by a demagogue. I wasn't actually making a straight comparison between the two individuals. It was a comparison about the political situation and the political realities. And I think that's why what I really want to do is to say everybody should just take a moment, stop, and think about what really matters here. There's lots of reason to think we do need to get our house in order. Yes, on immigration. Yes, on issues of security. But voting for Donald Trump is a little bit like trying to get your house in order, trying to clean up the house by burning down the house. That's the thing we have to focus on. And the reason I say that is because he's not committed to basic constitutional ideas. Remember, he proposed that we should go ahead and register Muslims. That's a violation of First Amendment, freedom of association, freedom of religion. Just yesterday, he proposed opening up libel laws to push back on press freedom. Again, violation of First Amendment freedoms. He has also, in his rallies, condoned roughing up protesters, wishing he could throw punches at protesters, said it was better in the good old days when people would have been carried out on stretchers. That's condoning unlawful violence. Those three things are anti-constitutional.
So you say what should happen now is that the American public, R's and D's and I's, need to coalesce around Marco Rubio? You think the only way to defeat him is that the field needs to clear and people support Rubio, even Democrats?
That's right. That's my view. I believe we, the people, those who are opposing Trump, should stand up, put their hands up, and vote where their vote is most meaningful in affecting opposition to Donald Trump. And the most meaningful place to put a vote against Donald Trump is with Marco Rubio.
Are you prepared, I presume, as a resident of Massachusetts, maybe I'm incorrect, but are you prepared to re-register just to do that which you're saying?
The reason I wrote this was because I went to go re-register and discovered I'd missed the deadline, and so I wanted to make sure everybody else knew they had a deadline to meet in order to do it.
The party elders might all come out against Donald Trump. People might do that which you're espousing, and yet it occurs to me it would probably help him, because then he'd be able to stand there and say, you know, look at who's now rallying against me, and that would embolden his base. Have you thought about that?
I am calling out to every citizen of conscience. And yes, I called out to party elders because I take them to be citizens of conscience. But I am also calling out to every single voter in America to stop and think about the basic fundamentals of having a republic. It requires protection for freedom of association, protection for freedom of religion, protection for freedom of speech, protection for lawfulness, consistent protection of lawfulness for everybody, non-arbitrary application of lawfulness. And these are not things that Donald Trump has in his very character and being. I take, for example, there to be a link between his policy proposals and his basic instincts. Look at his talking over Jeb Bush in the South Carolina debate. Look at his talking over everybody else. That's actually, if you stop and think about it, stealing other people's right to freedom of speech. It's in his character as well as in his proposals.
Quick final question. Is part of your motivation that you look at the juggernaut that he has become and you say to yourself, my God, he could defeat Secretary Clinton, my candidate?
I've known he was a strong candidate from the beginning. I wrote an op-ed to that effect in September. He has a floor of durable, committed supporters, 20-25% in the Republican Party. That was never going to go away. He was going to bring other people on top of that. We are a sufficiently divided nation now that that is enough to put somebody over the top. It's enough to catapult even somebody whom James Wilson, and one of our founding fathers, I believe would call a vicious man, into the presidency. And that is just not something that we can afford to let happen.